Let's keep the Sunday Six rolling with what I think is the coolest news in week 16 to this point. That would be the Detroit Lions, not just clinching a playoff berth, not just getting to the postseason, but winning their division. We absolutely have to make a big deal out of this. No matter what happens next, no matter where the Detroit Lions go from here, they win the NFC North, which is actually the first time they've ever done it. We've talked a lot about it's been 30 years since they've won their division. 1993 was the last time. What gets lost in the shuffle there is that was the NFC Central that they won all those years ago. The Detroit Lions, until Sunday, had never won the NFC North since realignment 2002 when we switched to the current format. They were one of just two teams in the league that had never done it. Now, sorry, Cleveland Browns, not to rub it in. Cleveland, the last team that has never won their division in the current format. The last time the Lions won their division, Tampa Bay was their division rival. The Seattle Seahawks didn't even play in the NFC. That's the type of stuff we're talking about. That's what makes it so damn cool that the Lions go on the road. They beat the Minnesota Vikings by a score of 30-24 to finally clinch that division, get that home playoff game. That's where I want to start, as I'm joined now by Kenny Albert and Jonathan Vilma, who had the call in Minneapolis. All right, y'all. You know, teams say all the time that winning the division is the first step. It's the first goal to accomplish. But for a team in a city that hasn't won the division in 30 years, is it fair to say that this feels a little bit bigger than your average division title?
Well, Dave, it is the first time since 1993, and we spoke to Jared Goff the other day, and he said if we do it, it would be the first check mark, but it is a huge accomplishment for the Detroit Lions organization.
For how hard they've worked, not just this season, the past couple seasons. Jared Goff coming in, Dan Campbell, they started off 0-for. Everyone just kind of left them and thought that they were never going to turn it around. They brought in some players, some tough guys, turned it around. So I'm really proud of the current players and, of course, for the organization who made a commitment to the fans that they were going to right the ship, and they did.
Lions have shown a little bit of a tendency to win it the difficult way here over the last month or so. JV, I'm curious from your perspective as a player, when you manage to win these dramatic sorts of games, how does that serve a team when you get to the postseason?
Well, it gives you confidence that you know you're never out of a game, right? It doesn't matter how you win so long as you find a way to win. And that's what they're going to talk about on Monday. There will be a ton of things to correct for the Lions, offensively and defensively. But the point is that they know they're always going to find a way to win the game when they need to, because these close games, they add up, especially in the playoffs. When the talent is the same, the skill set is the same, you have to execute. And they found a way today. They're hoping to do that again in the playoffs.
The Detroit Lions, the NFC North champions. It's got a nice ring to it, guys. I hope you have happy holiday. Really appreciate the time.
Thanks, Dave. Happy holidays.
It's big for anyone in the NFL to get a home playoff game. It matters no matter what. This is an accomplishment that the Lions should celebrate, feel good about, regardless. But it feels especially big for this team, the way that they're constructed, to be guaranteed at least one home playoff game at Ford Field. The first ever playoff game at Ford Field, by the way. For starters, I don't think it's a coincidence that the Lions have scored 30+ in all 5 of their wins since the bye week. The strength of this team is its offense. It always has been. Typically, when they fail to flirt with the high 20s, low 30s, they don't win games because gaining yardage, scoring touchdowns is their bread and butter. You're not going to win defensive battles with the state of the Lions defense. 389 yards, it's honestly not even that gaudy of a day for the Lions. It's only their 7th best yardage output of the season, but they were a very, very impressive 4 of 5 in the red zone in this game. Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery combined for 3 red zone rushing touchdowns, a couple of those on the goal line. And Jahmyr Gibbs in particular, I said this on Sunday afternoon, we can argue till we're blue in the face about the value of a running back. Was Jahmyr Gibbs drafted too highly? I think there's merit to both sides of that argument, but here in December, when you're in the home stretch of the season and you're fighting to clinch a playoff berth and your division, Jahmyr Gibbs runs for 80 and 2 touchdowns, catches 4 passes for 20 yards, 100 all-purpose yards on the day. I have a feeling Dan Campbell Really, really happy about the decision to draft him where they did. And those points helped offset another leaky day from the Detroit defense. They had a standout night against Denver last week. We can't take that away from them, although I think it's fair to point out Denver's offense, not a unit that has consistently scared anybody this season. This weekend, Sunday, it was the fourth in their last 7 that the Lions defense has allowed 350 plus yards since the bye week. It's really been a weekly adventure in terms of how many yards and how many points they're going to give up. Nick Mullins, some of this yardage was negated by sacks, which there were quite a few, but he passed for 411 yards on this secondary. He and Justin Jefferson picked up a 3rd and 27 in the crunch time of this game that looked like it was going to lead to some big time Detroit heartbreak. The Vikings were right there with a chance to take the lead in this game late, which, let's be honest, would be something that the traditional Lions would do far too often. This is a different Lions team. This is an opportunistic team, even if they're not great. They get the interception down in the red zone. They picked off Mullins 4 times on the day to offset all of that yardage. And that goes back to my point. You play at home. What's going to be helped on defense? It's going to help your pass rush with the offense going against crowd noise, needing to go to a silent count, not being able to get ahead of things. It's going to help your pass rush. By virtue of that, it should help your secondary playing in a raucous home environment inside. I think having a roof on your stadium will probably help your offense move the ball and score points as well. So playing at home matters to a lot of teams. I think it really, really matters to the Detroit Lions. And at least in the first round of the playoffs, we know they will get that. They lock up the NFC North for the first time in team history. Coolest story of week 16 heading into Christmas Day.